When you're piloting an interview, so a qualitative research interview, your emphasis needs to be on learning if the questions, direction, and so forth are clear, not the answers per se offered by the person involved in your pilot testing of this. So you're not so much concerned with what they say, but so much that they understand what you're asking. It may be a good idea to record the pilot and review the recordings to learn ways that you can improve as an interview and do a better job with your interview. And overall, you just need to determine if the interview form in your recording of the interview, whether that's video, audio, or on paper, if that needs to be revised as well. So a good way to do this is to ask a question or two and then solicit specific feedback. So ask the person to critique the questions, how the sequencing of the questions, the transitions from one question to the other. The other thing you can do is after each question, ask the interview to respond to the question as far as what they think it means, what they think they should answer. So not specifically what the response is. So like if you're asking somebody, what is your favorite color? You're not worried about blue or green. What you're really looking at is what they interpret that to mean. Does that mean like a very normal color pattern palette? Does that mean very specific? Are you providing pre-selected answers, or are they just open? So there's all kinds of different things like that you can look at. So it's important to know that you may need to go through a couple different pilot rounds to really hone in your questionnaire. Doing so will help increase your response rate, reduce the possibility of missing data, help you obtain more valid responses. So you want to kind of look for stuff like checking for a set response or responses to questions from a particular perspective. So this is looking at like your respondents giving you socially desirable responses, stuff they know that you want to hear. If I'm asking, what do you think about my smoked brisket, right? And they know that you want to hear it's a good smoked brisket, so they're more likely to give you that positive response. So here are some tips for piloting your questionnaire or survey. You want to administer the same way as you would for the main study. So think about the process and the sequencing and all of that. You want to ask the respondents to critique the directions of the survey, the questions themselves, the transitions from questions or instruments, the order of which they're all there, the design, so you'll have different questions and design different things, and then the overall layout. Again, this could change from whether you're giving a paper and pencil survey or if you're doing more of an interview style and how that interview is laid out. You'll want to check the thoroughness and accuracy of answers. So and what this is really making sure that the people understand your question. So again, it's not so much what the answer is, it's making sure that they understand the question and give appropriate answers. You need to think about the length and the time needed to complete the interview or the survey. And try analyzing the data collected from the pilot to confirm that your data analysis plan is going to be adequate, or if you need to adjust either the information you collect or adjust your analysis activities or analysis plans. All right, so let's look at a survey sample and look at how we can critique it. So question one, we've got two pre-selected answers for male and female. So if you're asking somebody if they are male or female, you're looking at sex or gender. And without going too much into sociology and stuff like that, really what our concern here is not so much if we're looking at sex or gender, it's the fact that we don't offer any other options. So if somebody doesn't feel comfortable answering this, or they don't feel like they identify as male or female specifically, we have no other options. So the best way to go about this is, if we're gonna go with a male-female type variable, we want to say male, female, other, and do not answer, not applicable, or some things like that. So just offer some other options that really are a little bit more inclusive of the different people that are going to be answering this. So then we look at the age range. So if we're looking at if we need somebody between the ages of 18 and 25, this is fine. We're using this as a culling mechanism. We're saying if you're not 18 or 25, for whatever reason, we're looking at some other people, we're looking at a specific age range. Otherwise, beyond saying they need to be 18 to participate in this study as an adult, beyond that, it's really better to look at, getting a specific number or providing categories that people can fit into. So if you think about this, if they're over the age of 25, I mean, that's a big range you're looking at for the age range. So unless there's a specific reason to frame it like this, it's not a good question. Then here we got, what would you say is your favorite leisure pursuit? So if you're, as you can see, up until this point, we've kind of had them fill out some stuff that's pretty straightforward and generic, I would say, as far as demographics. And here we're opening it up to a very different thing. So two things I would say is the sequencing seems to be off, right? So we didn't really transition well into this, and we'll talk about transitions later as well. But the other part of it is it's really no guidance here. So I would think that a lot of people would be not really comfortable with the word leisure, like, like many in the parks, recreation, leisure fields understand what it is. But when you think about the general public and you ask what's your favorite leisure pursuit, that may not be the best word for that. And you may have to do some explaining. So just, the wording there could be the tricky issue. Overall, you want to find out what their favorite thing to do is in their free time, or, in some manner. Do you participate in this pursuit frequently? So what does frequently even mean? Frequently to some people is once a year. Some people it's once a month. Some people it's many times per day. So, this answer of yes or no, it isn't really providing us any quality information. Something I would do is say, how frequent do you participate in it? And if they say once a month or a lot or whatever it comes down to, you're going to better hone your answers as far as a pilot test. So here we're honing our answers just going through there. Then we're going to move to number 5. What keeps you from pursuing your favorite leisure pursuit more frequently? And so there's 3 different answers, 3 selected answers. So you're very limiting in how you answer this. Now, I'll give it that I think that time, money, and social aspects are probably the most common reasons people do or do not pursue leisure activities, right? But I guarantee you there's a lot more nuances there and a lot more options as far as barriers to participation. And there's a whole instrument out there that they could probably use for that. So I just think it's very limiting. What's your annual income? So if we look at below 10,000, 10 to 20,000, and more than 20,000, we're very limiting in how we're structuring this. So I would recommend opening this up. Some people are very uncomfortable giving their income. So first thing you want to do is have a do not disclose or do not answer option. And then you want to look at what are you really trying to get out of this? Because I guarantee you, if you're looking at the general public, you're going to have a majority of the people you talk to are going to be $20,000 or more. Most people with dual incomes have income over $20,000. So I would break that up a lot more, is looking at 20 to 30, 30 to 40, 40 to 50, and so on and so forth. Then we look down and it says, what other sports do you enjoy? So the first thing that I noticed is they went from asking about what's your favorite leisure pursuit and what barriers do you have from enjoying your leisure pursuit. And then we looked at very specifically sport, and which is a very different aspect of this whole continuum of leisure, recreation, sport, and that kind of thing. So we're switching terminology as well. So overall, just with this quick 5 minutes, we've kind of increased our overall viability of our questionnaire just by discussing it a little bit. So another thing you may do as a qualitative study is do observations. And so you can also pilot an observation plan for your study as well. So first thing you can do is find out if the observation site is accessible. So you may have a grand idea that I want to check out this place or this action or this kind of cultural interaction or whatnot. You want to make sure that you can access it and be able to observe it without any issues. Next is you want to really make sure that you're observing the usual behaviors and actions of somebody. So, are they acting or behaving in a different way because of what's going on, the fact that somebody's observing them, things like that. So you want to make sure that you're positioning yourself to observe normal courses of actions and normal behaviors. And then overall, you want to determine how useful your plan to record the observations are. So if you're writing down notes in a notebook, whether you're recording audio or video, and just a quick plug, you want to make sure you get all that approved, but just making sure that the usefulness of your record keeping is going to be appropriate for what you're trying to do. overall, you just want to make sure you learn from your pilot experience and you want to make adjustments before you do the full scale project or study. You can do several rounds of pilots. You can revise and rewrite your questions or your plan of action many times to really get it honed in. And that's the real point of it all, is to make sure that you've got a great questionnaire, a great survey, a great interview, a great plan before you do your big scale study. Because the thing you don't want to do is get involved in your full project and then have to go back to the drawing board. And that would really stink overall.